Good evening and welcome, everyone. Tonight's show is going to be one of the best shows we've ever done. That's right. It's going to be
Why are
incredibly
you
awesome.
whispering?
What?
What are you
Huh?
doing?
What?
What are you
No,
doing? A
what?
late night pillow talk show? Hey, ladies,
Tonight
tonight's going to be the greatest show ever.
we're going to be talking about those things you've always wanted to talk about but couldn't talk
Oh
about around
yeah.
family.
Let me tell you, darling.
It's going to be awesome. So tonight, hey, thank you for joining us. First off, you're joining us out on Facebook or out on YouTube. We are broadcasting everywhere, or at least we think we are. We probably aren't really, but that's okay. We're going to dig into tonight, kind of looking ahead at the next 6 months within our industry, within the DJ industry. For those of you who don't know what industry we're in, because you are not paying attention.
And you fell upon this and you didn't know where you were.
Exactly, yeah. Of all
Or
the
you
things
saw a
on
picture of John and went, he's delicious.
all of the things
Let's
on
see what
YouTube,
happens.
and this is what you ended up here with us, and that's okay. That is okay. I'm just getting the chat logged in. If you've got any questions or thoughts or what have you, put that into the chat of the Facebook or the YouTube. It looks like we are out to all of the channels tonight. Yay!
Yeah, well, you're going to have to tell me because I don't know how to keep my eye on
Well,
those
there's the YouTube one that we shared earlier, and then all the Facebook ones are all propagate to Restream, the Restream chat. So
Right.
that's what we have. So I'll be following those. And Howie, thank you for joining us this evening. So Bill,
Yes.
before we get into tonight's topic, I was just going back to the beginning of DJ and TV, and
wow.
very first show on DJ and TV happened January 2nd of 2014.
Yeah, I was 17 years old.
You were 17 years old. Jason Jones was 14 at the time, and it was the three of us were on that night and talking about kind of the future of the what was going to be happening with Disc Jockey News TV, the whole concept of a consistent show, which was really at that time no one was doing something like this, especially the live interview shows. I mean, that was that was back when we had dial-up, it seemed.
In the background, you heard.
Yeah, it was not pretty, but I was just kind of going and rehashing that because we've been over 6 years of doing shows and doing content.
God, it's crazy.
Yeah, a lot of shows. I mean, what is it? Your weekly show, you're up to 100 and how many shows?
185 for a creative license.
Yeah, which hits.
And I still have as many as 30 to 40 people who listen and watch.
Exactly. And I didn't think you had that many family members that you could bribe
to
continue.
No, I really don't. One of my kids had a kid.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, yeah, hey, if you're going to be in this family, you got to watch Grandpa's show.
Right. Well, that is part of it.
If you don't watch it at Grandpa's show, you're out at the wheel.
Right. Exactly.
So yeah, that was just kind of a cool little thing.
Did you really go back and listen to that original show?
I did a little bit, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is there are some things we've been able to clean up. The look a little bit has cleaned up since that show. The software we weren't using Zoom at the time because I think Zoom came into the picture for us about 2 months after we first started. So I want to say that might have been a Skype that we did at that time. I'm not even sure.
I think it was.
It could have been.
Or it was like Google Meeting or something.
Yeah, we tried the Hangout. I think we did that for
Hangout. That's what it was.
Yeah, about 10 minutes we used that, and then that one, that's what sent us off to Zoom, and we've been there ever since. But so yeah, that was interesting. So tonight, what I want to kind of dig into, Bill, is as we're going through, there's some places around the country where DJs have been able to, they've changed what types of events they're doing a little bit and doing odds and ends. But we're seeing in the wedding world that DJs have been able to perform outside a little bit. They've been able to have some under tent weddings, maybe some smaller, maybe some restrictions on dancing. But it has come, there is that. But we're going to be moving into fall. And I've got a huge concern for the industry is that as we move into fall, especially in the upper Midwest, outdoor events, I don't know how many November weddings we can do outdoors. But I'm just really looking at, for the next 6 months, of how are we going to be able to keep the sanity in, we get into the winter months, which typically are depressing months, especially in the upper Midwest, as the clinical depression hits a high level here in the upper Midwest during this time. What kind of things are going to help DJs keep their not only head in the game, but just keep them sane during these next 6 months?
Well, that's just it, right? I mean, especially those of us that are doing this this is our income. This is our only form of income, is this little company that we finally decided to create because I would like to be able to do this for a living, to take my passion. So we put all of our eggs into a basket because we had a business plan,
Mm-hmm.
that was going to be fine, right? I mean, as long as we stay on course, what could happen?
Yeah. And it
You know,
worked
when
for
what
a
could
number of
happen
years.
shows up,
Yeah.
and it is depressing. And I wish I could say that I don't know. There's one specific idea, because there is a thing that people are going through, and maybe I've gotten farther along than some, but maybe not. But it was kind of like grief at first, really, because when everything stopped, it stopped.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you said, well, gosh, maybe this is like a car crash, right? We're going to clean up the car crash, and the highway will get going again. And that wasn't the case. And then with every day that went by and every news story you heard and everything you heard about it, it didn't sound like we were going anywhere near anything that would feel like normalcy again. It was just getting worse and worse and worse. And then you see your business, your life really
Mm-hmm.
is not what it was. And even the comment of when things get better, you can't even say that and feel like you're not lying, because things aren't going to get better. Things are not going to get better. Things are not going to go back to the way things were.
Yeah.
That's
I
what
think that's
people
the best way to
call
say it.
getting
Yes.
better. Okay, well, when this blows over, we're going to be good. All we got to do is survive. We got to get into our bank accounts. We got to sell a few things. We got to make sure we get through the months, because just survive. It's like a big wave, and it's going to be over. And the truth of it is, and it sucks to say this, and I know that a lot of guys are not here yet, but they are all getting there, is that it is not going to go back to the way it was. It will never go back to the way it was. It's going to be something else. It may not even be recognizable
Mm-hmm. Very
when
true.
it comes back as what we call DJing or emceeing or events as they are or were. Because even the ones that are doing now, they're guessing. And every week they change again and again. The guys that are saying, well, as long as I'm outside, well, that's changing. That's as long as I'm outside means as long as you're outside and can social distance. Well, that means you got to be outside so everyone is at least 6 to 8 feet away from each other. And that our entire job is to get people to do the things that the CDC says you're not supposed to do.
Yeah, for sure.
That's we are like public enemy number one. We're really good at making you do the things that the CDC says you shouldn't do.
Mm-hmm.
So here we are looking at this, and it has not gotten better. And yeah, I see a couple of my buddies, they're doing some outdoor things. They're having a little success there. But it is a little success from guys that that do, hundreds of events a year.
Yeah, exactly.
Those guys the big companies that they didn't lose them all, right? So it is somewhere along the line, we get to this. We don't want to resign ourselves to nothing's going to get better, but honestly, it's almost like, well, we just have to let go of what was and embrace what might be, and then be ready to embrace the possibilities that are going to hopefully show up. And that's just the business end of it,
Mm-hmm.
much less our sanity.
Yeah.
And it's not just DJs. I mean, I know we're talking to DJs because it's DJ and TV, but I've got lots of friends that are small business owners, with one or two employees, and they're one of them, right? And they're sitting here looking at the same thing. My wife and I were talking to a couple of employees of large corporations that are used to going downtown Minneapolis to some of the high rises to work every day. But what they did was they said, well, we can't be all in the office building, so you got to go home and you got to remotely work. Well, great. They're like, I didn't lose my job. That's so awesome. So now everyone's back in their homes, all remotely working. No one, even the CEOs, are not in the big office buildings. And then they looked at their quarterly reports and went, well, look at that. Look at that. Our numbers are up,
Mm-hmm.
and our profits are up because all expenses. And well, something, I think we don't need these buildings. So now we have people that are used to being able to disconnect their home from their office friends of mine that their office is in their walk-in closet,
Yes. Yep.
right? And they're not sure what to do. They are not going to be compensated by their bosses by having to take over a part. I mean, like as a businessman, I can tax free, not necessarily tax free. There's I can
Yeah.
deduct
Home office space is
because
deductible.
home office, but you
Yeah.
can't necessarily do that if you're working for Ameriprise, right? So everyone is faced with this I don't know, this uncertainty of what's tomorrow, and you can't even come up with a positive about what might be tomorrow, because every time you do, for the last 3, 4, 5 months, well, tomorrow will be better because of this, and this, and then something else happens, and I'm like, oh God, it just got worse. It
But
just got worse.
I think though there is a positive trend we're seeing, regardless of the caseload of how many are not there, what have you. I think just time and learning from the medical side of it, just of what they've learned and such, and the advances they've been able to make has been absolutely a positive part of this. That we now have information that we didn't have 3 or 4 months ago. How many
Agreed.
people, would the death count have been different if we'd have known 3 months ago how this cocktail of meds. So there is positive. It's just, I think that there's just so much as we look ahead. We're seeing a road full of potholes before we can get to a smooth stretch again. And that's the part that
people are desperate for that, right? I mean, they're desperate. I mean, I heard somebody, we were talking the other day about the vaccine. Well, when the vaccine comes out, and I'm trying not to pee on their parade, because for a moment they're like, I'm so hopeful of a vaccine. But I've been around the medical industry with my father and my family long enough to know that the first vaccine is the throwaway, right? It's not going to work. And people are going to run out into the streets saying, we've solved it, vaccine. And then 15 vaccines later, we'll have maybe the one that works. People are so desperate for normalcy, or what it used to be, that they're willing to take any little bit of, we can just do events outside. Well, that's not necessarily going to be the truth.
Yeah, precisely.
And that sucks, but there isn't a black and white to any of these things. And people are desperate to have that. And that comes down to, that's going on up here, right? We need this. The one thing that people do not handle well is uncertainty.
Very much so.
At all. And that uncertainty will eat you alive and will play with your psyche and will send you down spirals of depression. I was playing around in the first 3 months, the feeling of wanting to hide in a corner and roll up into a ball and just say, well, it's over. It's over. It's just over. I don't know what to do. It's over. Mm-hmm. Okay. Everybody's going through this, and everybody's either gone through it or got to a certain place of it. And what it came down to for me was I finally had to kind of just let go of this thing that happened.
Sure.
As if I lamented enough about it, that it will fix itself. Well, but the truth is that it happened, and there's nothing I can do about the fact that it happened, and it's not going to change that it happened because I'm really upset about it. So now it's like I got punched in the face. I can't be unpunched. So now what? And so now what is tough, especially for those of us that have been in the business for a while. We kind of got, this is how it goes. We know this. I could teach you how this works. This is how it works. They're the rules of the business. The rules are out the window. The path is out the window. There's no way that we're going to go this direction or that direction because we know anymore. Okay, people are guessing, and it's terrifying. And we need to find those times, those bits and pieces and moments where we can feel normal again, right? And finding those things that don't have to do with your job, because you can't do your job if you're not feeling safe, if you're not feeling certain, if you don't feel like you end up feeling like you're the only one. Right. I mean, no one's going through this like I am. No one can understand what I'm going through.
And let's jump back to that, Bill. When you, in those first few months, when you felt that they basically curl up in a corner.
Yeah.
How did isolation, the importance of connecting with people, how did that work for you at that particular time?
Well, the isolation didn't. And I'm really, I realized, I mean, and I've known this for years, but you forget about it when you start dealing with feeling depressed about stuff, is that I am a social person. And I really believe, regardless of how social you are or not, that we crave, like air, human connection.
Mm-hmm.
We crave it. And whether or not you can put your finger on, that's what it is. But if you're alone in your home, and all you've got is bad news all the time, and the lights are down and the TV's on and the news is going on, and you got your food in your refrigerator is your friend, you're going to feel a certain way.
Yeah.
And then you see a buddy of yours, even on a phone call, and you brighten up right away, because that connection, that human connection, is so important. And many of us don't even want to admit it. It's almost like the idea that I need someone is
showing weakness.
It
really
is. Yeah,
and
exactly.
We don't like
it shows, especially for us guys, the idea of showing any kind of weakness, oh, that's a guy thing. It's not healthy in any way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that even showing up for Zoom calls or phone calls or waving at your neighbor from across the yard, that's like powerful medicine, man. And it's really, really powerful medicine. And we even living at home with my wife and 2 daughters, and those people are supposed to be closest to me. But am I able to oftentimes be able to look at my wife and say, I'm not feeling good. I'm feeling down. I'm feeling desperate. I don't know what's next. I'm frightened for us, for our family. To not be able to do that that's the isolation part. That's the part of the isolation that will eat you alive. And when that begins, then, hey, you ought to be marketing doesn't really fall well.
No, doesn't.
Hey, you ought to be calling your clients. Oh God, I just want to hide from my clients.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to call them up and say, I don't know what I'm going to do. That's really, you don't want to, you should be cleaning your office. But I could be watching and binging and escaping because I'm terrified of everything all the time. But 10 minutes with a phone call with my friend John Young, and I can be so much better. And we don't have to talk about what's going on. There's an immediate connection of somebody that I care about, whether or not that person even cares about me, because you already immediately have that.
Mm-hmm.
So that the idea of connecting with the people in your life, and I think it's going to be the medicine, at least for a while here.
Right.
And because that's the medicine that's going to get you up and say, okay, well, nothing's going to be the same, and marketing is out the window, and I don't know when I'm going to be able to do this again. So if I had to start over, okay, so let's start over, because really that's all you can do. I hated the idea for 2 months that after X amount of years of doing this, that I was going to have to start like I did when I started my business, like I didn't know what was happening, and begin again with a new idea and a new feeling without having any of my years behind me. I worked really hard. I paid my dues. It's like, I got to pay my dues again, right? And to think about that by myself without connecting to people was way more terrifying than spending an hour talking to a friend and going, okay, well, I'm in. And then when that happens again, to reach back out. And I also believe that the other half of this connection part is, I do believe that you can't have what you want unless you're willing to give it away. Okay. I can't be happy if I'm not willing to give you happy. Okay. I can't be loved if I'm not willing to give you love. I can't, you know what I'm saying? I need to be willing and ready to give away the things that I most want. And when I do, I'll have that. I believe that. But if you can't connect with people, which is a fallacy anyway, you just don't. That begins to show up for you, and it sounds like magic, but really it's almost like physics. I think that whole connection thing. We need people. I need my neighbor who I don't know his name. I need to go over and shake his hand. Well, maybe not now, or say, what's your name and how long you've been here, and just kind of breathe the same air and look into his eyes and feel the humanness, right? So that I can feel like I'm not alone on the planet.
Even you mentioned, of course, the waving to the neighbor. For the last number of weeks, I've been going for a walk in the evening. Some people can walk without a camera, by the way. But it's just amazing that at cars, as people are driving by and you wave, and it's like that little gesture, the I wave, they wave. It's like it's this energizing thing. And it's something that you just take for granted. I've never thought of before, but it's like, and they wave back, and sometimes they're just as silly waving as I am type of thing because they know me. And it's like, it's people.
Right.
Just so crazy that, but it's that changing of one's attitude and changing of that. And instead of being, it's all about, I'm just in my little world and woe is me, to be able to go out and get exercise, which obviously is a huge help in keeping that mental health going in a positive direction. And then to be able to interact, even if it's at a distance and even if there's no verbal connection. Occasionally there's someone's got a window down, they're like, hey, John, as they're going by, and that's really cool too. But just...
Yeah, it is true. There's there's literally, I believe, without knowing anything about the science, and I know a little bit, but there is a chemical reaction that happens when two people just catch each other's eye, much less... I mean, there's this point in the workshop that I tell them, tomorrow we're going to do some other things, but one of your homework tonight is to go out into the world, go to the restaurant where you're going to eat, or go to the mall or something, or in the morning at the hotel before you come back. I want you to put a big grin on your face, and every human being that comes near you, you look them in the eyes and just smile at them and watch what happens. Watch them and how they react. Most of them are going to smile back at you like, this is awesome. Some are going to avert the gaze. Some are going to think, what's a creepy guy? But you're going to get this immediate connection and response from something as simple as smiling and looking at somebody's eyes.
Yeah.
It does energize you. And waving at people who don't know you. I mean, I got more people in my neighborhood that know me now because I walk every morning.
Sure.
Because I don't walk with my head down. They come by, hey, how you doing? I still have those that are like,
yeah, exactly. There's
but
that guy again.
Not for very long. The next 2 or 3 days, they're like, hey, what's your name again? Yeah, what are you doing with the video camera? Or whatever's going on. But they are asking, they're talking, they're coming out. More people are coming out in my neighborhood because of this. Because I have done something as simple as wave and say hello.
Right.
Okay. And that for me, I get to have that. If I give you happiness, I get to have it back. Even if they didn't give it to me, I gave it to you, so I get to have that. So today I feel great. I talked to 3 people. Who'd you talk to? I don't even know. The guy with the dog, and he wears the white shirt with the gray hair in the corner. I don't know. Oh, that's Mr. Blankety Blank. But I got that boost of serotonin or whatever the hell's going on to be able to make me feel like the world, I'm not isolated in the world. It's not just me. It's not, and the world has designed, it seems like the world is designed to isolate us before this began, with sitting in front of your computers and sitting with your family and everybody's on their phone and their own, like they're in a bubble, right? I mean, we've been doing this to each other, knowing that at some point I can go, okay, I'm going to come, but I am going to come out of my bubble, right? Well, now your bubble opened, but now it's just the 4 walls of your house. And you're being told if you step outside the 4 walls of your house, that one of those people that you might connect with is going to spit on you or lick your hand or sneeze on you. So now the isolation. It is feeding those of us that had any kind of depression, and those people who've never felt it before are starting to feel that isolative thing that creates depression. Now I'm a performer, so I live in my own little world. Okay. And I have my own little world since I'm 5. And that's my escape anyway. I invented characters and the walls I put up so I feel like I fit in better. I chose a job where I would stand on a stage in front of hundreds and thousands of people and ask you to love me. There's a sickness there, right? And thankfully, because it's weird that I can say this now, but thankfully, because I recognize that, I was able to look at my own mental health and to look into a therapist's office and to see these sorts of things. So I have some tools to be able to help myself, but it's still just as real for me as it is for anybody else.
Oh yeah.
It's just that now I can look at it and go, oh, that's what that is, as opposed to what's going on? Why do I feel so helpless? I remember feeling that helpless feeling that like the world is just crashing down, but I'm not sure what the world is. What is that thing that feels like it's crashing down? Why am I always so sad? Why am I always so anxious and freaked out? And I don't even know what it is. I just want to scream or cry or hide, because there's no outlet, because there's nobody I can look at and connect with, if nothing else, just to smile and smile back, much less to have a conversation, a real conversation about how I'm feeling, to hear them go, oh God, yeah, man, I got you. Yeah, I got it too. I don't know what the solution is, but now we can start a club. I got you.
Mm-hmm.
And those words, I got you, that's some powerful juju, man. Some powerful medicine.
So we've got the words of I got you, that connection, we'll put it there. Yeah, the connection you have with the neighbors and different things as you're going on your walks. That is, in many ways, for someone who's having these down times or the depression, is really kind of like vitamin. It's like a vitamin C, where in essence, for vitamin C to work, you need to be taking it daily. Mm-hmm. And really, I think as we look at keeping ourselves sane for the next 6 months, that this isn't a once a week I can take a pill and I'm going to be fine type of thing. No. And I really, for those watching this, and that's part of why I wanted to have this discussion tonight, is because we're all going to be running into this. And I see from some of our friends online, I mean, there was one message today, I think that's probably about the 8th or 10th one, is like, I didn't think this was going to last this long. You know, that you are hearing this and seeing this as people are coming to that realization, and that's going to hit hard. And it's going to take a person to be proactive of saying, okay, I need to either get ahead of this or I need to meet this head on and know that I need to treat this or to have an effect on this on a daily basis. Otherwise, it's going to drive a person absolutely crazy.
Right. Yeah, I completely agree. I will say, if I had to give the advice that I've been giving, rather, to some of those people that have called out to me, because I'm one of those people that people call when they're struggling, is first off, many of us, if you think about it, many of us that have had success in whatever we do, we have routines, right? We have our morning routine, we have our lunch routine, we have our evening routine. We've got routines within our day that help us with our marketing routine, with our client routines, with our filing routine. We have our routines, right? And what the first thing that went out the window when all this happened was every routine.
Yeah.
Every one. They're gone. Now it's like, well, I mean, I can stay at home in my pajamas and I don't got to worry about my routine. Oh, I got my fuzzy bunny slippers and I can sit there and I can eat ice cream in the afternoon and watch, myself get bigger while I'm binging shows on Netflix. Yeah, you can. And it was kind of like a weird vacation, right? You can kind of ignore it for a little bit. But then I'm waiting, because there's something about knowing that routine is waiting for you. Okay, there's security in. Okay, I was slacking off. I was playing hooky, but tomorrow the routine starts again. There's my routine.
Yep.
Well, that didn't happen. Okay, the vacation didn't end, and to go back to our old routines wasn't going to help us, because this isn't ending. So when is this going to end, so I can get back to my routine? So the first thing that I've advised anybody is to come up with come up with a new routine, and start with your morning, and make it as simple as what you do when you wake up until you're showered. What are those things? I get up. For part of your routine was when I wake up, as soon as my eyes open, I put my feet on the floor. Okay, and then I stand and I go to the bathroom, and I go from the bathroom to the kitchen to get a big glass of water. And I come back and I put on my shorts and my shoes and my t-shirt and a cap, and I grab my phone and I go outside, and I stand outside and I stretch it a little bit, And these are like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then I go out for my walk. And in the walk, there's a routine of when I walk, where I walk, and when I actually do that little video, and why I do that little video. And when I get home, and what I do when I call that my morning routine isn't even done until I'm done. I turn off the video. I go in the house. I get my put away my clothes. I get into the shower. I take a shower. I come out. I have breakfast. That's my morning routine. And there's some sanity in knowing that I have that every single day.
Yeah.
Am I making any money doing that? No. But I know that tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, my alarm will go off and I'll get up and put my feet on the floor and I'll do it again. Right. And if I make a break in that routine, I've decided to do it. But right now, we're hoping that the routines will show up for us when we have been building routines all our life. So now that's where I am right now. My morning routine, I pretty much got, even if I'm not near my house, if I'm traveling, that's my morning routine.
Yeah.
There's comfort and certainty in my morning routine.
Yeah. That when you were on the road and doing that, I think sticking to and committing to a routine as best you can is so very important.
And I'm lucky that, I started with something that was helping me with my health, and I would recommend that to anybody, but I'm not judgy about it because there was very few people in the world as unhealthy as me. Okay. I went from absolutely no activity to a morning of 3.5 to 5 miles of walking every day. Just because there's a whole story. I've told you the story, but that just became then the routine, right? And now I've got something that is healthy, that is turned into a healthy breakfast and a healthy night's sleep, because my routine now has to have me in bed by a certain time to be able to get that 8 o'clock thing to go off.
Right.
Or earlier sometimes, because I might have an earlier appointment, because I'm not giving up my morning routine because my first appointment's at 8. So now I'm going to get up at 6 because I need that. Everything else now is like a big surprise. Without the routine, the surprise is not as much fun when you don't have the routine to fall back on. It's like, here's a great example. I just thought of this. So I'm just brilliant. But like you got your wedding itinerary, right? You create your wedding itinerary when you do a wedding and you have it. This is what it's going to go. This is my timeline. This is how it's going to work. And you have that. Now, in the middle of the timeline, something might happen and the best man can't do the speech when he's supposed to do it. He goes off the rails and something happens. But guess what? Even when all this crazy stuff is happening, you have your routine. You've got your thing you can go back to. There is something about letting the accident and craziness happen when you know you can come back to, this is the way the world ought to be. And that's my itinerary for the wedding, right? Now, do you have that with any other people? Do you have that now? You didn't do that for you. You did that for your client, okay? When you're going to be in a play, the play has lines, and there's the lines, this line and then that line and that and this scene and that scene, and it all lined up. And if somebody forgets their line and somebody goes off, not a big deal, because we know where we are. We can always come back to it. Well, that happens with our life too. Our life had this thing all lined up. So when something crazy happened, we could deal with it, but know that when I get past the crazy, at least I can get up in the morning and go to my office and do the thing that I do every day. There's certainty in that. And there's very little certainty in our lives right now.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's really difficult that certainty is gone. And the idea of actually taking and creating it on purpose, when our certain little routines kind of just happen for us, is foreign. Many of us, even those of us that know that having a plan and putting together goals and all that stuff, we know that. But who does it every day? Who does it for little things, right? The world can be weird for us, and we can be spontaneous because we're not really, because we really have our plan, right? We have our plan we can go back to. There's no plan. The thing we fell back to was Netflix and ice cream on the couch and napping
and fuzzy slippers
and trying not to let our kids drive us nuts because we can't get away from them, right? I like a vacation, but at some point I want to go home. I want to be I've had enough vacation. I need to go back to my life. Well, our lives were not waiting for us when the little vacation was over. So now what? And that's where the spiral shows up. So, and we sit in that spiral now by ourselves, right? We don't have a routine, and we sit in ourselves. I think why I don't think I can call my friend John and go, I just need to talk to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
This is what's going on. So John can go, oh yeah, I get you, man. I'm doing the same thing. You ought to do a morning routine. Try that. I tried that. No, we just sit in it thinking we're weak if we call somebody and say we're having a problem, or we're sad, or we're frightened. Sad, frightened, angry. Angry is much easier to yell. But even when you're done yelling, you've just pushed people away.
Yeah.
So now you're stuck again in sad and unhappy, depressed, fearful, frightened. And there's way more of that in our heads right now.
Way more.
Than the certainty of tomorrow I'm going to go make $10.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow I'm going to invent a thing that's never been around. I'm going to do a thing online and somebody's going to be paying me for it. Like my workshop. I'm doing it online now.
Yep.
I was never going to do it online because there's no certainty in doing it online. I have no idea how it's going to work. I don't know. I'm going to charge people for this. They're going to hate it. I know I could do this. I'm doing this. I'm doing it really well. I know I can guarantee. Now I have to lean into, I don't know. And moving forward with I don't know is terrifying.
Oh, yes.
Terrifying. And if nothing else, hopefully, as a race of people, as human beings, the more of us that can lean into moving forward with absolutely zero idea what will happen next, that's a muscle that I think that it would be great for us to have. Because it's going to open a lot of pathways to some evolution that I don't think we were kind of stuck in with the way things were going. I'm getting a little
philosophical,
a little weird right now, but
well,
Nostra DJ here.
Yeah, you're kidding. We've got a few more minutes here before we have to wrap things up, Bill. So we talked about the routine is a great idea, and that's very important. Let's look at the other part of this is that keeping connected. You've been doing a Monday early evening kind of a gathering, a get together with your
yeah.
I'm going to call it what I called it earlier, which was not appropriate. Happy hour. There we go.
Yeah, the happy hour.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just call it a happy hour. And when COVID started, I went, well, I can't go to a bar and hang out with my buddies. Once a week, I was able to at least go to a local tavern and meet somebody, and we'd sit, and even if we're just drinking soda, we're out of the house in a new situation where we can talk about dumb crap and we can make up lies and laugh and go home, right? We didn't have that. So I thought, well, maybe we'll invite a bunch of people on Facebook that I know and see what happens. I wish I could invite everybody, and Facebook won't allow you to do that. Okay. And I don't get more than, I think the most amount of people that came to one is 20.
Sure.
And what do we do? Well, before everybody leaves, first of all, I always say, bring a cocktail if you want. So that's the first time anybody's ever had a drink on John's show.
No, actually, Alan Berg, I think, was the first one.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, there's my bourbon there. In fact, this is a bourbon that was introduced to me by Alan.
I was going to say, if it's bourbon, that's an Alan Berg thing.
Yeah, it's a Woodford Reserve. It's the first bourbon that Alan said, you should try this. Because I've been a Scotch guy all my life.
Mm-hmm.
But we get a drink, and then before we leave, you have to raise your glass and talk about, you got to tell us something happy. What happened that's happy? And that's a hard one lately for someone to go, my kid kissed me.
And you know what? Sometimes
I got a contract today for 2 years out. Something to be happy about. And we stay away from religion. We stay away from politics. In fact, I make a big noise when somebody wants to talk politics. I'm like, stop it! I'm going to mute you. You can go.
Yeah,
we're just not going to go there. I don't care if you're a Republican or Democrat or conservative or Republican or Democrat. I don't care. We're not going to talk about that. We're not here to fight. We're here to connect, right? We're here to have fun and to release and to try to make everybody happy. You know, somebody's in a down, we all will tell jokes. We've had them where we say, I've had them where I theme them. It's bring a joke, bring a dumb joke, your best dumb joke. Okay. Or today we're all going to play a game and we'll play Pictionary, you know, until a conversation starts. And usually we just play Pictionary until somebody says, I know what happened to me today. Oh God, that happened to me too. And then all of a sudden we're going back and forth.
Sure. Yeah.
This is something that I love. And because I've done this, I've had other people to invite me to theirs. You know, with Alan Berg and several of the other guys who are bourbon aficionados and cigar aficionados. There's a few of us that get together, but not every week. Every once in a while, like a couple of days before, somebody goes, we need to do this. So we all got a cigar and we all got this, and we just sit and talk about nothing. We make jokes, we give each other crap because it feels amazing. Because you don't necessarily get to talk smack like you do with your buddies, with your daughters, or with your wife, right? I mean, I'm lucky I have a wife that I can talk smack with, but not like with my buddies, you know. And it's like going to the DJ conference. You know, you can take your wife if you want, but she's not that impressed with any of the crap that we do, right?
Yeah. That's not. She doesn't want to sit and talk about.
Right. She doesn't want to hear from DJ. She's got us. So that's been really, really important. And I'd like to say that it was like, I did that because I knew that that's what the world needed. No, that's what I needed.
Mm-hmm.
And I invited a bunch of people, and, you know, and we, you know, what are you drinking today, Bill? Well, I have this, I got something new, or, thank you, Alan. You dip my Oreos in that. I think more people should be doing it. And I think that there's a lot of people that are afraid to start their own. Because what if I start a thing and nobody comes?
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the reasons, you know, I know very, very good friends and close family members of mine that won't have parties because they had this thing since they were a kid that if they had a party, none of the kids would come.
Yeah.
Right? So, but if nothing else, now, and when my buddies call me on the phone, it's like, hey, let's get on Skype. Not Skype, Zoom, or now with Google's got, have you tried the new meeting thing that they have? Google Meeting?
No.
Google has a Zoom, their own version of Zoom. Their marketing's great. So it might be worth, you know, finding out, but I don't see many people jumping off of Zoom. This has become, I wish I would have had stock
exactly
in Zoom in the first week of February, because whoo boy. You're afraid to go out of your house, call somebody. You don't know how to make Zoom work, call them. Drive to somebody's house and stand in their front yard and let them stay on their porch and talk to them. Don't go into their house, just stay 6 feet, 8 feet away, right? Meet at a park and walk together 4 to 6 to 8 feet away. Okay. But this is great. Mm-hmm. Zoom does this. Facebook Messenger, you can do this now too. So if you're better with Facebook Messenger is the first video calling that I used, and it's easy and really great. And
you could do it from your pocket.
My friends in England, I never thought I would be able to have weekly conversations with.
Mm-hmm.
But now, for free, I pay for a subscription for Zoom because I like to have these calls and I want them to be longer and I want to have more people on them. But it is a way to do it.
Yeah.
Without breaking any laws. And yeah, there are lockdowns, but there are ways to do things and still stick with the laws. I do try to go to people's homes, but I just, not necessarily my clients, but even if I meet a client, we meet in a park and we sit at either ends of the picnic table.
Yeah.
Right? It works, and I still get to have that if I want to, and I can give that to them if they want. We're just not thinking outside of what we've always done. And what we always done is where the certainty lies. And that certainty is, the removal of that certainty is like removing your arm and saying, yeah, I know, but you're not going to get it back. No, I know. And we were thinking, well, I know you have my arm, but in 3 weeks, I know I'm going to get my arm back. Well, in 4 weeks, I'm going to get my arm back. Well, in 3 months, I'm going to get my arm back. Hey, you're not getting your arm back.
Yeah, maybe not so much.
So if your arm is not coming back, so now what are you going to do? And I know everyone who's watching this has been in a situation where they don't know what's going to happen, and there's terrible things going on, but they found a way to figure it out. Well, we haven't had to do that for a long time. So it's pissing us off that we have to now do a thing that we took years to figure out. It took me forever to figure this out. And I still don't have it figured out, but at least I have a thing that I got that's working for me, and now I can't even use that. No. So now what? If that's the truth, and I'm here to tell you, I really think it is, then what now? And you don't need me to tell you. You know what you got to do. You just don't want to do it. You got to figure it out. You got to get up every day and figure it out. You got to try something that you don't know it's going to work and see if it's going to work. My workshop I should have been working on for the last 3 months. But I was sure that I couldn't figure it out because I've never done it before. And why would I even try? Well, if I can go broke, I suppose, or I can figure out how to do my workshop online the same way I figured out how to do my business, which was, I don't know how to do this. Let me see if I can do this. Oh, okay. Well, I made that mistake. I'll change that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the people that go to my workshop for this next one coming up in November are probably those people are going to get more out of me because of the mistakes I'm going to make. If they want their money back, I'm going to give it to them, but I'm going to learn my hard lessons and I'm going to figure out how to do it this. And then when the internet goes to hell and this isn't possible.
Thanks for that optimistic look.
Well, but I mean, think about it. I mean, if this happened, it's like the old thing of the idea of somebody lighting a match like it's a fuse and it just right through the internet and it's gone. If that happens, will we survive? Well, we'll have to, won't we? And this isn't that. This isn't that the sun is dying or the air will be gone in 2 years. This isn't that, it's 200 degrees outside. This is loneliness.
And we need to do what we can.
Disconnect.
Yeah, and we need
and now
to.
We can do something about it.
Exactly. Whether that's.
Are we getting questions or comments or people telling?
Everyone's just been
telling you I'm full of it.
Yeah, they're pretty much that's what they're saying. No, just a really positive. Some of the folks that have been part of the happy hour and have appreciated the chill room, and that's the kind of comments we're getting. But the big thing, the takeaway from tonight's show, gang, what we wanted you to kind of get is we're going to go through a difficult time, and there are going to be dark days ahead. There's nothing we can do to stop them. There's nothing we can do to fix them. For some people, it's meant that they have had to go find other jobs and do different things. And I've heard from numerous people who have done just that. They're like, I don't know why I didn't do this earlier. I sat around for 3 months and I just it ate me. And I went out and I have a job. I'm seeing people connecting. Mm-hmm. That's one of the big things. And there's going to be, Monday, the happy hour with Bill. Reach out to him. He'll get you the link for that gathering. And you're going to see, even with our DJ and TV shows, we're going to get we've got the DJ and TV DJ Talks in September. We've got the virtual expo coming up in October. We get beyond that, you're going to see us changing from these types of where it's just an interview type show back and forth to where we're doing more group things. And those group things are going to be hosted where I'll be coming in and doing an hour a week, leading a group chat where you guys can come in and we can talk. Dan, Bill will have his that he'll be doing. We're going to have more of that. So it's going to be that time to connect and time to be in a room with others and share positives. Yeah, there's a lot of negatives, and we might be able to talk a little bit about that for a few moments. But really, the idea is we want to be able to connect with other people and say, hey, we're all struggling. We're all in the same boat. Let's do what we can to get us all through this time, which, again, I'm really concerned about this winter, and I want to find a way to help as much as we possibly can.
Yeah, I agree with you. And just one thing I might add is as much as it, even you said it, and I've heard a bunch of people say it, and I've said it myself, we've got dark times coming. It's going to be unbelievably hard and difficult and frightening. And yes, but it will be as dark as we decide to label it. Because like you said, Money's not, like you said with the guy who went and found himself a job. Making money's not hard. I know how to make money. I can dig a hole. The grocery store will hire me. They're hiring at Arby's right now at $15 an hour. I can go over to Arby's. Okay, I can be working. I can be doing something. So it's we decide how dark things are. We decide it's sad, angry, frightening, horrible times. We do. And the times are just the times. What is happening is just what's happening. And as much as I don't like it, I labeled it as sad and dark and frightening. So then I have to deal with that I labeled it that way. So I believe that we create our lives in our language. And if you want to take on that this winter is going to be horrifyingly dark and frightening and terrible and awful, then I think we will create what we label as that. I really do believe that. Mm-hmm. Now, will it still be hard? Probably. Even if you decide that, it's not dark and I'm going to find a way to, it's like finding the silver lining, which always seemed stupid to me. That find that silver lining, right? There's always light. Without darkness, without light, there's no darkness. Without darkness, there's no light. Decide. And I always thought, yeah, whatever. That's an easy. Tony Robbins said that, didn't he? Yeah. Okay. Blah blah blah. But the truth, real truth, is that I can choose that I like you, regardless of whether or not you're a nice person, and then I get to deal with you as a person that I like. Okay, I get to choose. You don't. Mm-hmm. Okay, you could be a real jerk, but I can say, yeah, but I'm going to choose that that's a good guy. And the world is going to feel dark, but you can say, this is not dark times. This is just the times. And I get to choose how I get to be within it. I get to be positive. I don't have to be in a dark time. I can be in this time building what's happening. I get to do that. You get to do that. Everyone gets to do that. And that connection that we're talking about with those people that can say to you what I'm saying to you now, I know it feels dark. It is dark. Yeah, I got you. It's dark. How about, we maybe put some different labels to it and go forward tomorrow even. It's like the definition of courage, right? Being afraid but doing it anyway. Okay? You can't do it anyway if you can't see the hope in it, for goodness sakes. So, right? So yeah, it's dark times, but I'm moving forward anyway because I know it's going to be great.
Exactly.
Life is great, even if it feels dark for a second. I get to choose that it's great. Yeah. And if you can do that, if you can have people that can bring you there, it will be easier. I know it will.
Doing it as a team is much easier than trying to do it on your own.
Way easier. Don't do it by yourself.
Bill, we got to go. Thank you much,
who's waiting?
My friend.
Who am I holding up?
We actually are headed over to the chill room, djntv.com/chill. We're going to be broadcasting our show from the chill room. So if you guys want to be part of it,
wait. They can't just chill and wait?
No, well, they can chill over there. There's some people already over there.
They can chill. I'm good.
Yeah, but they can't come to this one. This one is
they're not chillier than I am because it's a room full of chill.
Yeah, it is. It's a kind of a neat room. But that's Dan and I will be there and doing our show from that room tonight, which I'll have to log into that room here in just a couple of moments. So
yeah, not if I can keep you here.
No, I just basically it's to be like shutting the lights off at Kmart. I'm aging myself there.
Really?
Yeah, I'm going to start turning the lights off in the back.
Thank you, John. Thank you for letting me be a part of this.
Yeah, no, thanks for coming on and chatting, and a lot of folks appreciated the comments and the thoughts and such shared in the show tonight. So thank you guys for being with us. Again, if there's going to be opportunities to get together and network and talk and such over the next several months. If you are struggling with things, feel free to reach out. Message on Facebook, and when we get a chance to get phone numbers, and we can talk on the phone. We can.
Yeah. Well, that doesn't have to be a room. Yeah. You don't have to come to a group.
Exactly.
Call John. John, nobody talks to John. He's got lots of time for everybody. He doesn't talk to his kids and his wife. He doesn't have thousands of DJ shows to put together. He's got hours.
Exactly. So any time of day or night. I shouldn't say it because
day or night too.
I have had that.
Most of the time that he has, the time he has is after midnight.
Yeah.
And
in Central Time. Yeah. I had a gentleman from South Africa who had just the time frame had just and he called like at 4 a.m. or something, whatever it was, and it's like.
Well, it's your fault for answering the phone.
Yeah, no, actually I didn't, and it rolled to voicemail. But
oh no,
oh my goodness gracious. but that's
cool
okay.
though.
It was good stuff. So, once again, thank you guys for being with tonight. Dan and I will be go to djntv.com/chill, or the YouTube player will be up here in a few minutes, and we will catch you then.
Go Dan.
Bye-bye.
Go Dan.